All right. So welcome. Today I'm going to talk through the OUR Scholars application process and for spring 2026. I always start with just a little bit of information about, sort of why research matters and why hopefully you're considering this program. And then we'll talk through the application process and talk about some other opportunities that might be of interest to you as well. I always start with what is research? What does that mean? I have a definition up here that comes from the internet. And what I want to emphasize is you see the word new appears 3 times highlighted in there. That's what is exciting about research is that you're learning new things, you're developing new knowledge, right? Unlike what many of you may have experienced throughout your educational journey up to this point, where you are seeking the correct answer and getting confirmation from the mentor or the teacher, right? When you're doing research, you're in an environment where nobody knows what the right answer is. And that's what makes research really unique and different compared to maybe what you've been experiencing in the classroom before, because the mentor doesn't know the right answer and can't give you that confirmation. It's instead a joint discovery process. So when we think about undergraduate research and how does that fit in, right? You are not researchers yet, most likely, but you're interested in getting involved. So we follow the Council on Undergraduate Research's definition, which puts an emphasis on process, right? So this is a learning process. You have a mentor to guide you, somebody who has more experience, but it's really not about the outcomes as much as it is about the process. Are you able to understand the research cycle that's shown here on the diagram, and can you enact it? Okay. With the goal, of course, of developing that something new, like learning that something new, hopefully that piece that nobody else knows. And I always tell students that's the most exciting part for me about research. Why I got hooked on research is I realized early on during one of my first undergraduate research experiences that when I completed some work, I was literally the only person in the world who knew that information until I went and shared it with a medical student who was working with me or shared it with a faculty member who was mentoring us. And I thought that was really cool when I like dawned on me that like literally nobody else knows this but me right now. So research is also important because this table, and I'm going to go through this real quick here, is just shows how important different skill sets are when employers look at college graduates. Oh, and I thought there was supposed to a little animate there. I want to highlight especially these top 4 here: problem solving skills, quantitative skills, teamwork, communication skills. These are the kinds of things you build through research. And what's interesting is when you talk to employers, they actually think about these skills in different ways. And the diagram that's here, I'm not going to go through it in detail, but I want to point out the blue bars are how important employers say these different skills are, things like critical thinking, communication, teamwork. And the purple bar is how many college graduates, university graduates, employers think actually are capable of doing this. And regardless of what those numbers say and what those are, what you can see is there's some pretty big gaps between the blue and how valuable they think they are, and the purple and what they think students are capable of doing. And so research is going, oh, I know why. I am sorry. Let me back out of this for a moment. I know I didn't animate because this is the wrong presentation. Give me 1 second. Just clicked on the wrong tab this morning. And I apologize for that. It starts out the same, which is why I was making that mistake. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So engaging in research is going to build these skills for you, right, which is going to make you more hireable upon graduation. So that's why it's important, and we want to get you involved through the OUR Scholars positions. That's what you're here to learn about, right? So the OUR Scholars positions are offered every semester, spring, summer, and fall. And during the academic semester, spring or fall, students can earn up to $2,000 a semester by contributing 10 hours a week to a research project, or up to $1,000 a semester by contributing 5 hours. We have that flexibility so that you feel comfortable with whatever your workload is for that particular semester. And I'll also emphasize these are average numbers, right? So it may be that some weeks you have a couple of exams and you can't work the full 10 hours if that's your commitment. But another week might be a little bit easier. Maybe you need to put in 12 or something like that. That's all negotiable with your mentor, and you should have those conversations with your mentor. It's just, it kind of averages out across the semester to these kinds of numbers. Our positions are federal work study eligible, but it is not required. So if you have federal work study as part of your financial aid, we can use that to help support you, especially if you don't currently have a federal work study position. But again, it's not required. And at the end of the experience, we expect every scholar to present publicly and share a little bit about their research with our community so our community can learn together. And for you in the spring of 2026, that would be the Undergraduate Research Conference, which will happen in April. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So what does that timeline and process look like? Well, for the last month, we've been requesting project proposals from various mentors. We have received 120 project proposals for spring. So there's a huge number of projects all across the university that you can select from in this application cycle. We opened up the application yesterday, actually, for students now to pick from those projects and to apply and rank the top 3. That will end on October 16th. Please note that we do everything through our competitions portal. So everything is automatic. So you can't email us afterwards. There's no late acceptances. Like, you must make sure your application is prepared and submitted before the deadline. That being said, there's also no benefit or no priority to applying early. Okay. So make sure you're in before the deadline, but you don't need to, you're not going to get an advantage if you apply today, for example. We actually really would recommend you take a little bit of time to think through the application, speak with mentors, make sure that you're informed about your rankings, and strengthen your application. Make it much more likely we can get you a match. So to help you meet mentors on October 1st, we'll have a handful of mentors. RSVPs are still coming in from the mentors. But I think we've got 6 already confirmed. We're looking to maybe have 7 or 8 mentors participate in kind of a networking roundtable kind of event. That'll be October 1st, I think at 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon in the Pop Martin Student Union. And we'll be posting information about that event soon here once everything gets finalized, who's going to be there and things like that. By the end of October, so once your application window closes on the 16th, we send them out for review. And there's a 2-stage review, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, but I'll also emphasize it here. The OUR staff reviews your applications. We're looking at completeness of your application, thought you've put into your application, sort of that you've taken it seriously. You haven't copied and pasted. You haven't said non-applicable to questions, those kinds of things. 95% of students pass our review. There's only a few who, kind of don't put much effort in the application or violate the rules, who don't sort of pass that hurdle. But the mentors are also going to review your application. So every project that you rank, the mentor will see your application, at least pages 2 and 3, and give you a score or a ranking or for priority, basically, for the mentor. And this process can be rigorous. On average, less than half of the students get accepted by the mentors. So I say that because it is really important to emphasize the need to talk to mentors, right? Get them to know your name so that when your application comes across their desk, they know who you are, right? If you don't already have them in class or you haven't already met them, you want to try and take an opportunity to do that, because it really will make an impact on whether or not we have an opportunity to match your application. Okay. So those reviews occur for a week to 2 weeks after the applications come in. Then we start the matching process and aligning folks with the funding sources that we have, right? Who in our top priority group and top rank group might be, federal work study eligible or eligible for financial aid, who needs this funding source or that funding source. We cobble together money from many different places to serve as many students as we possibly can. And so, and then we extend offers once we think we have a good fit for you, we have money for you, we extend the offer to the faculty member first, because some faculty members may get 10, 20, 30 applications, and just confirming, hey, this student is still one of your top priorities, or these 2 students are still one of your top priorities, whatever it is, right? You're comfortable accepting them. I want to make sure you are still saying yes, and that we haven't misinterpreted something. Because every once in a while, our rating scale is a priority. It's a 1 to 3, and some mentors give 3 for their highest score and 1 for their lowest, when it's supposed to be priority, 1 for your highest priority, 3 for your lowest. So there's always that confirmation step there. And so until the mentor responds and confirms, we can't extend any offers to students. Okay, so that takes time to get the mentor's attention sometimes. So by mid-November, we will start rolling out acceptances based on how quickly mentors are responding. So don't panic if you find out that a friend or somebody in a class got an offer and you haven't yet. That may mean that the mentor took a little longer to respond. It doesn't necessarily mean that you've been eliminated from consideration at that point. But our goal is to have all matches completed and communication out to those who have been matched and those who were unable to match by Thanksgiving break. So that's the timeline. So how can you prepare and strengthen your application? Well, our application is open. So if you go to our OUR website, you can link over using the apply button, head over to our competitions portal. In that internal competitions portal, when you click on it, it'll take you to the OUR Scholars application. It'll give you some basic information on the front page, and then you can click apply at either the top or the bottom of the page, and that'll take you into the application. Okay. That application, before you even actually head into the application, I should emphasize you can see the full project listing, all 120 projects, on that information page and also accessible through our website. So we have it on the application page in two forms. We have it both as an Excel spreadsheet that you can like sort, filter, search by department, search by name, keyword, etc. But it's kind of hard to read project descriptions in an Excel sheet. So we also have a PDF book that is like almost 350 pages, as you can imagine, with 120 project proposals in there. Once you know the project number or the faculty member's name or whatever it is you're interested in, you can then go to that PDF and read all of the information that is there. So here's to kind of orient you what that project description will tell you. So at the top, there's going to be an application ID number. It'll be important you pay attention to that when you get to your application because you'll be ranking your projects you're interested in. And the first piece of that will be the application ID number. So they'll be in order by the application number as you scroll through that drop-down list. Then there'll be information about the mentor, who they are, whether they've got a co-mentor, et cetera, title for the project. The mentor's name and title will all be included in the drop-down list as well. And then a description, right? Description that's supposed to be written to you as students to tell you a little bit more about what's going on. What time commitment they're looking for. Are they flexible, willing to take students who can commit 5 hours or 10 hours? Are they only able to take students who can do only 5 or only 10? Right. So that is important for you to look at because if you're thinking about your semester and your time management, you want to make sure that you're applying for projects that are compatible with what time you can give and sort of what the mentor is expecting. And also the number of positions available. This will tell you if the mentor is just looking for 1 student or 2 or 3 or 4. I think in this semester, there's actually one that said 10 students. I will be honest, we do not have the funds to match 10 students to a single mentor, most likely, unless they were to get, the majority of the applications. But that means one of the things that is worth paying attention to is that means that if they're looking for a lot of students, they may have alternative ways that you could get involved. So even if you don't match through the OUR Scholars program come November, and you find out, it might be worth following up with that mentor. If they have 4, 5, 6, positions available, maybe they can enroll you in research for credit in the department or some other way, some other mechanism. You may still be able to be involved next semester, even if you don't get matched through us, right? So it's important to kind of pay attention to that. They'll have some anticipated student learning outcomes. So like kind of what they think you're going to get out of this experience. So that's kind of key to make sure that it matches what you want to get out of this experience. And then it's going to talk about training, tell you what you might have to do. This is important because sometimes you may already have it done and you can mention that in the application. Or you may need to know that, if I start this project, before I actually get to touch anything cool or do anything cool, I have to do a bunch of training and be prepared for that. Then it'll be a mentoring plan, like kind of how do they envision working with you, right? So this may include meetings, it may talk a little bit about a mentoring agreement, kind of sets the expectations a little bit. And then it's going to go into the applicant, and there's 2 different boxes here, one that is requirements. So this is like, we tell mentors that what they're supposed to put in this box is if a student doesn't have this, we won't accept the student. Right. So that's sort of like the minimum requirements, right? If you don't align that, I'm not saying don't apply, but I am saying don't apply without talking to the mentor and confirming that you would be eligible and under consideration, even if you don't meet those requirements. Okay. If you haven't talked to the mentor, I would definitely discourage you from applying if you don't meet those requirements. But if you're early in your career, it also might help you prioritize if they list specific courses and this is a project you're really motivated by. Maybe that'll give you a heads up to next semester. I want to see, can I get into that course, right? And be prepared because maybe they'll have a project for summer or maybe they'll have a project for next fall. Under applicant preferences, these are the things that help distinguish applicants from amongst a group, right? So these are the things that they prefer to have in a student, but aren't required in order to get a position. I really want you to pay attention to this because these are the things you might want to highlight in your application to make sure that they know that you have this, either in your research readiness statement or in your description of why you want to work on that project, because those are the two areas that the mentors read most closely, and that would help you stand out. Okay? Finally, some mentors have already pre-scheduled things like Fridays at 10 a.m. you have to be available, something like that. Others don't. So this is an opportunity for you to be aware of that. We added this after a couple of years ago. We had a student who was matched. Everybody was really excited to get him started. And then the mentor had a like sort of must be available on Wednesdays at 2 to 4 p.m. to do data collection. And the student had a lab class that they couldn't reschedule and had a conflict. And so the student ended up losing the position because they couldn't work around the mentor schedule. So we asked the mentors if they have those kinds of very specific things to let you know in advance so you can think about that when you're looking at scheduling classes for next semester. So that's how you look at the project description. So you're going to head into the application next. And there are 4 pages in total of the application. The first page is kind of basic information. You put in your name, your ID number. You're going to answer some questions for us so we can kind of see who's applying for our programs, what students we're reaching. Most of that information outside of your name and ID number an email doesn't get shared with the mentors on page 1, right? It's for OUR only, okay? Then on page 2, that's when you are going to answer a series of short essay questions. We're asking you to tell us about your research readiness. So sort of what experiences have you had in the classroom, in volunteer activity, in work activity, maybe a previous research experience that makes you ready to do this project at this time. We're going to ask why you're applying now, like why research, what is it that excites you now? Why are you choosing to apply now as opposed to last semester, next semester, whatever it is? And then a statement about how does the research fit into your career and educational goals, okay? So I would encourage you to think beyond just a statement, something like, I want to go to grad school, research is required for grad school. That doesn't really tell us, right, like sort of how the research really fits into your picture. So why do you want to go to grad school? What is exciting to you about grad school? What do you want to use that degree to do, right? How does the research help prepare you to accomplish those goals? I really want to emphasize my office. We are here to help you. We would love for every application to be competitive. And so if you draft some statements, you are more than welcome to schedule an appointment with myself or Dr. Powell or stop by our drop-in hours. We will review those statements with you. We'll help you strengthen them. We'll tell you what we're looking for, what we hear, what feedback we get from mentors in terms of what they're looking for to help you strengthen those essays, right? They're not meant to be super long, right? They're looking at one paragraph, maybe 300 words, right? 400 words at most in terms of each one of these statements. So you don't need to write a whole book because I can pretty much guarantee you mentors reviewing 10 or 12 applications aren't going to read 3 pages of essay. And so really kind of be tight with your writing, focused to the prompt and on task. The Writing Center is, again, another resource that can help you with that. We also have a template on our webpage, and I show that here under the application process where you can draft that in sort of a Word or Google document so that you're not sort of working in the application. So when you're ready to actually apply, you'll log back in. All of our programs have OUR dash at the front, so it's easy to find us in the search engine. You'll select the application process. You'll go into apply. You'll log in through the SSO and use your Duo and all that kind of stuff. You'll head into the application. And like I said, there are 4 pages. There's a next at the bottom. First page is mostly information for OUR. Okay. Second page is those key essays, right? Research readiness, interests, and goals, right? Those are all required. You'll notice a little red star there because those are part of the evaluation process. We have an additional information box. This is optional. It can help some students. So we have some students who are like, come to us all the time and are like, I'm afraid of applying because my GPA isn't where I would like it to be, or I'm worried it's not competitive. We really want to emphasize first off, as long as you're in good academic standing, you're eligible for the program. We do not prioritize by GPA. I cannot, however, control how mentors evaluate information or how mentors may access additional information, maybe through advising or other things like that that we don't provide. Right? Your GPA is not something you enter in on our application. We don't provide it. We don't care. Okay, but the mentors may. And so maybe you have a student who, came in, really struggled on their adjustment to college, and their first semester, first year was kind of rough. But since then, they've recovered. Their GPA is strong, but they're only a sophomore, and that first semester is kind of holding them back. This is an opportunity for you to kind of advocate for yourself and say, hey, I had these transition to college issues, right? Or, I mean, a former research, not that I say this up of everybody, right? But a former research student of mine had one semester that was out uncharacteristic because they had a parent pass away during that semester, and it was particularly difficult for them. Right. So these are those kinds of things that are out of your control, right? That you feel may have impacted how somebody is going to evaluate you, especially if they're pulling information that is available through other UNC Charlotte resources. This is mostly for the mentors. This is an opportunity for you to kind of advocate for yourself and kind of explain the unique circumstances or unique situation. Or maybe you've had previous research experience that isn't easily quantifiable through a work or volunteer or some other experience, and you want to kind of share that. This is a good place for you to add additional information. Again, not required. Some mentors will pay attention to it very closely. Others just kind of skim it. It's not part of the review criteria formally, but it is an option for you to advocate for yourself. You can use it or you may choose not to, and it will not affect your application either way. So the third page in the application then is ranking the 3 projects. So you have these drop-down lists. You can select from the drop-down list the project number, and then you write a justification. The project numbers with the names and descriptions or titles are used to route your application for review. Okay, so make sure for justification 1, if you select Dr. Sun's project, make sure you are writing the justification to Dr. Sun and Dr. Sun's project. Okay, and then when you get to project 2 and you select Dr. Rausch, make sure that you are writing to Dr. Rausch. Okay. Do not just copy and paste these justifications because it won't go over well. The mentors will be like, this doesn't make any sense, and they'll just discard your application. So this is your chance to kind of write to the mentor and specifically about that. So you may have different classes or different experiences that apply to each project and put that in there, personalize it. You can select up to 3. We require you select up to 2. We require you select 2. When you go to the drop-down list for the third one, you will see none is an option. Okay. We do this for the primary reason, which is to increase the likelihood of matching. Okay. We have some students who have come in, selected one project, put all their eggs in one basket. They get rejected by the mentor, and there is nothing we can do to match you. So we do ask that you consider at least 2 different projects because the actual project that you work on at this point in your career is less important than the mentoring and the overall research experience and skill development that you're going to get from this. Okay. And then the last page are 2 affirmations. Okay. So I'm going to kind of touch on these very briefly. First is you have to affirm that you will be here in person. That is out of OUR's hands. Okay, we cannot have the hiring paperwork approved for you if you are a remote student. That is HR's rule. That is not our rule. They refuse to allow hiring of any student who is not in person. So if you are studying abroad, if you are a remote education student or whatever, I'm sorry, at this point in time, I'm being told that I cannot offer you an opportunity. It's not my decision. It is being enforced on me by HR. So you have to check and confirm that you understand you are expected to be in person for multiple events throughout the semester and for the research. The second one is, again, and I apologize again because it excludes some folks, is you must be authorized, because they're paid positions, you must be authorized to work in the United States. So that means that some international students with specific types of visas may not be eligible for our program. Again, I apologize for that. These are the rules that are established for us. And we're working on diversifying the ways in which we can incorporate students into the research program. But right now, the program I inherited is, and I've only been here 2 years, is pay for work. So I can only match you if you can be paid, and we'll pass through the HR process. So make sure that you're comfortable with both of those before you apply, because they will pull your application. Like, we could match you and then they'll still say no, right, on that end. So again, to review those key upcoming dates, October 16th is our application deadline. We have a week to 2 weeks of review. We should expect to get, students should expect to start hearing sometime during the week of November 3rd, with the idea that we have closed the application review, communicated with everybody by Thanksgiving break. The program dates for next semester will align mostly with the spring terms. There'll be an orientation during the first week. We'll start actually, I think, with the second week of classes, I think maybe, or something like that, or in the middle of the first week. And then you will go all the way to the Undergraduate Research Conference, or URC, which is scheduled for Friday, April 24th. And that's when you'll give your in-person presentation. My tips, suggestions for making the most competitive application. I cannot talk about it, how important it is to talk to the potential mentors. I cannot emphasize that. Go in there, tell them you want to talk about their research, or send them an email and say you'd like to schedule an appointment to talk about their research, or come talk to them at the mentors event, or there might be open houses for some of the departments still. Engage them, be inquisitive, ask them questions. How does this relate to what I'm learning in the classroom? How can you tell me a little bit more about this experience? Can you tell me what it's like when undergrad, what is the day-to-day experience for an undergrad in your lab? What are the expectations? Ask them questions, engage them, have a conversation with them, be authentic, be honest about what your interests are and what you want to do. I can tell you, as a former faculty member, I would have students sometimes talk to me and I would say, I'm full right now. I don't have any positions, but I know Dr. So-and-so down the hall has got some open positions. And based on what the conversation you and I just had, I think you would be a good fit there, as opposed to, a different faculty member elsewhere who I know might be still taking positions. So cannot emphasize enough how much those conversations make a difference in you getting in the right situation to make your application successful and to get you an opportunity. As I said, be explicit about your goals, participating, be authentic, be honest, okay? And again, remember that this is just one program to get research experience. Not all of our mentors will get matched. With 120 projects, we normally match between 40 and 50 mentors in any given semester. We normally only have 60 to 70 projects for you to choose from. So I'm working on accessing some additional resources and other things that we can do. But I can tell you right now, not all the mentors are going to get matched. So that means there are going to be mentors who are still looking for students after this program closes, just like there are students who are still going to be looking for positions after this program closes. So don't just take no as a final answer. Right? Know that there are ways that you can get research for credit through the departments, maybe through grants or other employment opportunities, and other things like that. So be inquisitive, come in and talk to us in my office. Dr. Powell or myself can go over your application after the program closes, let you know how you could strengthen your application moving forward. We may be able to refer you if some of the mentors reach out to us afterwards and say, okay, well, I'm going to look for students on my own or whatever. Sometimes that happens. We will, definitely can steer you in that direction. So, and then again, touch base back with the mentors and find out, did they get matched? Are there alternative ways that you can get involved? Okay. So just keep that in mind. So, but if you are a first-year student, or you're still pretty new and you're worried about how competitive it is, you're looking to kind of build your resume for this, I would encourage you. There are some other opportunities to improve your research readiness, strengthen your application. So the first of these is our professional development series that's offered this semester. It's Mondays at 3 p.m. We require students in our programs to participate, but they're open to all students. So we have a series that is for new researchers, first timers, kind of covers the basics. That might be a place to kind of go even without a research opportunity, learn, kind of hear what the students are going through. And then if you complete that, then you can come into, when you come into our program, you just let us know. We can move you up to the second level. And the second level is for experienced research students. We're going to dive in depth into some of these topics that affect research and researchers a little bit more detail. So there's still continuous learning opportunities. Likewise, OUR also offers a UCall 2101 course, an Introduction to Research course. That course will be offered in the spring, but this spring we have a partnership with the First Gen Student LLC. So they'll be given first priority for registration, but then any available spots will be opened up generally. It's a 1 credit hour course, research literacy, good way to dip your toe in the water, kind of see what it's all about, strengthen your application. I do want to emphasize that if you are early in your career and you are a little nervous about like, well, how can I compete against the juniors and seniors? Really want to encourage you to apply. You don't know how well you compete until put your application out there. On average in our programs, about 1 in 3 students, 1 in 3 applicants get matched and get a position. So it may not be the very first time you apply that we get you a position, but we will work with you to continue to strengthen your application and increase that likelihood. But we want you to get involved. Many of the faculty want you to get involved earlier. You'll see some project descriptions, they're looking for junior seniors, but many are looking for first year, second year students. So the earlier you get started, the more you build those skills, the better the outcomes that you can have, the more opportunities that open up for you. Our website has a whole set of links for off-campus research opportunities that will open up mostly in the summer. Those programs will start advertising at the beginning of November. And so, if you can get those early research experience or get that early practice, it's a good way to strengthen your application for those and more likely to get one of those positions. Might provide more money, might provide housing, opportunity to learn from new faculty or learn in a different city or see a different place. That's a great opportunity. There are also professional conferences where once you get that research opportunity, you present at URC or honors research symposium, something like that, opportunity to present off campus. The State of North Carolina event is coming up at Elon University on November 15th, and that deadline is for abstracts is just a couple weeks away. If you're already involved in research, that's an opportunity as well. And you can apply for funding through our office, and we can help support you to attend those meetings. So the other way to kind of keep up with all of our programs, all of our events, all things are going on, I recommend you subscribe to our OUR Google Calendar. You also can access it on our website. And it'll show you everything that we've got going on, what our dates are, and information. We actually have it updated currently all the way through May of 2026. So you'll be able to kind of look ahead, see when the summer program is going to be going on, et cetera. Summer program's going to be recruiting, et cetera. We also have a student email listserv where all these things get sent out. We have announcements on our website, also through Niner Engage. And we have a student marketing team who's constantly on Instagram talking about our events and activities and programs. So at this time, I'm going to stop the recording and I will be happy to answer any questions that you may have.